order by President Bola Tinubu for the full implementation of the Orosanya report has received commendation from many quarters. The report proposed 12 years ago by the Orosanya-led panel suggests the merging, subsuming, scrapping and relocation of several agencies of government. According to the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, President Tinubu has constituted a committee to implement the mergers, scrapping and relocations within 12 weeks. The report submitted in 2012 on public sector reforms revealed that there are 541 statutory and non-statutory federal government parastatals, commissions and agencies. In reaction to President Tinubu's measures amid current national realities, let's now turn to a former APC National Vice Chairman, South-South, Hilliard Etta, to speak to us on whether President Tinubu is walking the talk based on his campaign promises. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsday. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Temi and Hawa. Thank you.
So let's get right into it.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I would like your assessment, of the president's performance so far, especially based on the 8-point agenda that he set during his campaign. The top on his priority list was national security, economy, the agriculture, power, oil and gas, transportation, and education. How well has it delivered on those promises so far?
Well, I think 9 months is rather debatable whether it is enough time to have a proper assessment of what government has done, given the promises that the president gave to Nigerians. However, 9 months is good enough for us to see pointers to where the direction that government is going. I think if you look at the 8-point agenda and you look at what government is doing, it is in line, it is in alignment to those 8 points agenda, to those 8 points that are in the agenda. But if you also read through the renewed hope agenda, the totality of what the president promised us as he was campaigning for the presidency of Nigeria, you would see that he is in line with what he promised. He said he was going to take very tough decisions. He has taken them. Some of them has completely dislocated lives. It has affected, impacted lives as it is today. But you see, most of these policies have gestation periods. And we hope that within the shortest possible time, that these policies will mature and Nigerians will see the impact, the positive impacts that these policies were designed to achieve for Nigerians. However, let me also say that there are a slew of policies, monetary policies that are coming from the CBN, that is all tailored towards restructuring and transforming the monetary sector of the economy. However, there are a few of them that do not sit well with some of us who are progressive political economists. For instance, the raising of the interest rates from 18% to 22% cannot help Nigeria in terms of production. And at this point, Nigeria needs to rev up its productivity. Nigeria needs its industries to be revving up engines 24/7. And if you make it impossible for our industries to access funds because of the raising of interest rates, then you are not doing a favor to the economy. And so there are a few of these policies that does not sit well with some of us. And because we have a listening president, we are using these kinds of opportunities to cry out to Mr. President that these kinds of policy will not do well for the economy. And so there is a need to tinker with them and to see how we can bring down our interest rates to a single digit regime. In fact, if you look at the economies that are at our level, especially when you look at the BRICS economies, you see that from Brazil to South Africa, the interest rates in those countries are between 2% to about 9%. You cannot have an economy that is hemorrhaging and you have a situation where the interest rate is as high as 22%. And the 22% is for the banks. Now, the banks have a right to pad the 22.5%. I think that these are the kind of things that we should be talking about so that Mr. President can tinker with these things and, align these policies so that Nigerians will have the full benefit of what he is trying to do.
All right. And I find it quite ironic that during the beginning of the campaign and even during when our president was sworn in, there was a lot of comparisons about the harsh times that we're going through being compared to childbirth. The pains of bringing a child forth, well, it has been 9 months, and we do know it takes about 9 months for a baby to come out. So a lot of people were expecting maybe a little bit more to have happened to benefit them currently than at the start of the campaign. But let me ask you about the Orosanya report, the implementation of said report now. We know that it's to merge and scrap the agencies of government, also to reduce waste, and both, not only both, but multiple presidents have tried to implement such a report, Yar'Adua, Jonathan, and Buhari namely. I'm wondering what would be different this time around in terms of implementation, in your opinion, how they could go about it in a more efficient way so that it sticks and these agencies are merged, scrapped, whatever have you, and our governance is seen as more lean and effective.
Well, the only difference is that this is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's a man who has the capacity to take very tough decisions. You see, this report has been lingering around for about 12 years, and the president has now said he's going to implement it. And I bet you in the next 12 weeks, you will see concrete actions as regards the implementation of the Orosanya report. Having said so, let me say that a lot of Nigerians have always been talking about the reduction of the cost of governance, which is indeed needed at this time. Because if the government is asking Nigerians to tighten their belt, it is also the place of the government to lead the charge in tightening belts, so to speak. And the implementation of the Orosanya report is a way of government tightening its belt. And I believe that not just this, other areas of the Nigerian economy will see some austerity measures from the government as we go on, because government must lead the charge in tightening the belt as we have it today. So I believe that the president is going to implement it. I believe that it is for the good of Nigeria. I believe that it will help the economy. It will serve us the humongous amounts of money that these plethora of departments spend on a yearly basis.
Well, now you've said that the president has the capacity to take tough decisions, but it seems that he's a bit slow, in offering palliatives or some form of succor to struggling Nigerians. He keeps acknowledging the fact that there's severe economic hardship, and he keeps pleading with Nigerians to be patient. But in the meantime, the talks of the palliatives or measures, to cushion the effect of these tough decisions, it's been all talk and no action. What would you say is responsible for this?
Well, let me say that I am one of those who believe that for Nigeria to even talk about social safety valves, interventions in government, palliatives as you call it, that the government needs an authentic, reliable database. And to my mind, we do not have it. And this has constituted a problem to government. Because until you have a robust, reliable, dependable database, you cannot say where these resources is being
Shouldn't all that have been in place?
To.
Shouldn't all that have been in place before taking those bold decisions that he has taken?
No, I think the government is doing a lot in terms of building a database. It may not be. I personally find that those who are minding government are not giving these kinds of information to the people, so that the people will know that this is what government is doing in this area, so as to calm the nerves of the people. Government is trying to put a properly sorted out and dependable database, so that whenever we are talking about palliatives, these things can go to those that are meant for. Because I tell you something, I am a politician. Every time you talk about palliatives, whether it was during Orosanya, whether it was during Jonathan, whether it was during Buhari, whether it was during anybody from 1999, every time you talk about palliatives, politicians go to their best, smiling, because they know that without a proper database, these monies will end up in the private pockets of politicians. And so, you see, this is a veritable concern for any government that wants to truly look into the concerns of the average Nigerian. We must have a robust, dependable, and reliable database for us to be able to do anything in the area of palliatives. We must have it to be able to do anything in terms of creating something.
So that we can be clear on this, are you therefore saying that he has put the cart before the horse? What are you saying exactly? Because you're saying they want to build a robust database, they want to do so many things, but he has already taken these decisions. Nigerians are feeling the negative impact, and you're still talking of wanting to. What should Nigerians be doing in the meantime while you are wanting to do whatever it is you are doing?
You see, government is not about doing one particular thing at a particular time. Government is about doing a lot of things at any point, especially when you're talking about an underdeveloped economy like our own. We have to do a lot of things at the same time. You cannot be saying that because government has said government has set out this policy, government should not do another policy. You can do all of these policies. Government must multitask. You know that the problem that we have in Nigeria, it is not an unknown problem that we cannot identify. In fact, one of the problems that was discovered in the humanitarian ministry was that they were trying to do cash register and all of that. You know that these things are supposed to be at the click of a button. It ought to be at the click of the button. Unfortunately, this government did not meet that kind of database. This government did not. And so this government, whereas it must put in place a policy to alleviate the sufferings of Nigerians, it must also, on the other hand, make sure that there is a dependable, reliable database to be used. Else, you'll be just throwing water on the back of a duck.
And I'm sure that you agree that with multitasking, at least let the tasks that are all being conducted be efficient and fully done in order to, make things easy. But let me ask you about the governors, because yes, it's easy to criticize the president. He is the one elected, and heavy is the head that wears the crown. But he has other elected officials who should be bearing some of this weight along with him. How, in your opinion, can the president put more pressure on those that are in elected positions, governors in particular, especially in this time of austerity and hunger in the land, so that they can increase the productivity of their states, be more efficient with their FAC allocations, and come up with more creative strategies as to how to meet the people at their points of need? How can the president pressure these governors to do so, seeing as they have heavy portfolios and entire states within their charge?
Thank you very much. Bearing a few governors, perhaps His Excellency Babajide Sanwo-Olu, perhaps His Excellency Basi Oto of Cross River State, perhaps Alex Oti of Abia State, the governors, as we have it today, have constituted themselves into a problem for the people of Nigeria. In the past few months, it is no more it is no more a secret that there has been an expansion in the revenue base of the country. And about 50% or 49 or 50% of these revenues go to the states and the local government areas. And yet, we are yet to see a commensurate level of investments in the people in these various states. So you can say, for instance, that the subnational entities of Nigeria is where Nigerians should actually focus on. You know, they focus, and I like that the focus is on the federal government so that everybody will be on their toes. But we should also focus our attention on the subnational entities, the states and the local government areas. Because, as you have said, they have far more money now than they had before. And these people are not creative enough for the people of their various states to feel the impact of the expansion in terms of revenue. Nigerians need to take their eyes a little away from the federal government and look at the states and ask governors the questions that they must answer. What has happened to the humongous amounts of money that has come into the various states in the past few months? These are the questions that we must ask state governors. So I agree with you. I agree with you completely that other officials, not just the president, must be in this fight of resuscitating our economy, in this fight of rebuilding Nigeria. For instance, I do not see any reason why the National Assembly would want to go and purchase vehicles from Japan, whereas we have the same vehicles produced in Nigeria. It gives the impression of self-indictment. It gives the impression of a people that are not serious about development, because the legislature ought to be leading in charge of national renewal. I must say here, Hawa and Temi, we are where we are because we are who we are. The moment we begin to think as Nigerians and think that it is not just the president, the National Assembly ought to take the same cue and live for Nigeria. Everything that they do must be tailored towards the resuscitation, the resurgence, and the renaissance of Nigeria. Every policy that is against the people of Nigeria, every policy that is against the industrial development of Nigeria should not be taken by our legislature.
Well, Mr.
Buying a car of 160 million.
Mr. Hilliard
Buying a
Etta,
car of 160 million, whereas we have an alternative in Nigeria, is not the way to go.
Very well said, Mr. Hilliard Etta. I do not dispute what you have said. We should take our eyes a little away from the president, but at the same time, the president himself has acknowledged that the buck stops at a stable, and he has taken responsibility and will continue to take responsibility. We thank you so much, Hilliard Etta, former APC National Vice Chairman, South-South, for joining us on Newsday.